Hi friends, I'm Gina. I'm a wife, mother of 2 children, and this is my channel full of gray stitches. If this is your first time here, welcome. It's nice to meet you. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm so glad that you could be here today. I share weekly episodes of my works in progress, finished objects, news updates, questions, comments, and more. I love all things crochet and creative things. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all the creative fun. Stay tuned to see all the things I've worked on, as well as a finished object and a really great suggestion from one of my fellow viewers. Now go ahead, grab your project, whatever you're working on, a cup of your favorite beverage, get cozy, and let's get started. So I'm a little light on the projects this morning. I am working on my Dainty Daisy. If you've been following me for a little while, you've known about this project. So I will briefly just give you an intro if you're new around here. So this is my Dainty Daisy Granny Square. If you have any questions about this project, feel free to go back to my very first podcast episode where I go into detail. So I actually got a really great suggestion that I'm going to share later on in the comments about this Dainty Daisy project. So be sure to stay tuned for that because I want to share with you what my new plan of action is for this project. So if you're new around here, my goal was to have this ready for my daughter's birthday. Her birthday is later in May, and I was really hoping to give this to her as a gift for her birthday. We have other gifts for her, but this was just one of the creative makings that I'd like to give to her for her first birthday. I currently have 240 squares. My goal is to get to 480, and I already know that I'm not going to get to that goal because it's already taken me this long to get to 240. But I do have a plan for that, and I'll tell you all about it in a little bit. In my last podcast episode, I mentioned that I am going to try a different format for sharing my temperature blanket with you all. I think since it's a year-long project, I think it might be better to maybe just do monthly updates on that, just because it's a little bit tedious. And I just thought maybe that sharing it monthly might be better so you can see more progress. I do have a finished object that I'd like to share with you today, and I think you might know what it is because I was very, very close to finishing it in my last episode. So I'll go ahead and share that with you now. I have my little basket of goodies, and I officially have a pot holder. This is the Painted Anemones pot holder by Cherry Heart. We now have the back attached and a lovely border and a little hook, if you can see that. So it's very exciting to see this completed. I used Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton yarn for this project, and it's a size 4 worsted weight yarn. 6 different colorways. And here's a doily version of it as well. The doily I finished first, and then I created the second one as a pot holder. I may even look into eventually making the blanket version of this. There is a blanket version of these hexagons that Sandra Paul also has a pattern for. She's the creator behind Cherry Heart. So we have a finished object. That's why I wanted to take on a smaller project so that I could have something completed, which keeps me inspired and keeps me motivated to continue working on things. My other projects are more long-term. So those are my projects for this episode. It's very light on the projects this week, but I am going to continue working more and maybe start something new. What are you working on? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. I did attempt to start knitting. I received a set of DPNs in the mail last week, and so I decided that I would look into doing the vanilla sock pattern on DPNs. The pattern is by Crazy Sock Lady. It's a very popular, well-known pattern. I'm sure many of you have heard of it or even have knit some yourselves. So I feel a little bit like a baby deer going back to knitting because it's been a long time. And a few podcast episodes ago, I did give you a brief history of my knitting experiences, and that was, I don't know how many years ago that I knit. And so it's been a really long time, and I just have that muscle memory of crochet, so it's a little bit of a learning curve for me. I feel like I'm kind of starting back over with knitting, and I knit continental style, and I've been able to get the knit stitch down, and I think it's more of the purling that I'm still trying to get my wits about me with that. And let me know if you knit continental style or English style. I did see a brief clip, and I need to research this more. There's something called a Norwegian purl for those that are continental knitters. Let me know if you've heard of this technique, because apparently it's a little bit simpler of a purl than the traditional continental style purl. So just let me know if you've heard of this. And I don't want to share my work just yet because it's just casted on, and I'm just kind of working that first row. And I'm using really small needles, so I'm wondering if I should just kind of get familiar again with knitting by using a thicker yarn weight, a heavier yarn weight, and thicker needles. So, because I'm using a 2.25 millimeter DPN with fingering weight yarn, and it's a little bit splitty to the yarn that I'm using, so it's just a bit fiddly. So I kind of want to just get to a better place with it so I have something to show, maybe some of the cuff. So that's been where my effort was a little bit focused on this week, was just kind of dipping my toes back into knitting and just re-familiarizing myself with the process. So now I'd like to go ahead and share some of your comments. And I love hearing from you. And I am so grateful for all the wonderful comments that you've all given me on my channel. It's been so lovely. And just getting suggestions and helpful tips. This first comment comes from Stephen, who actually has helped me with a very good suggestion on my Dainty Daisy granny square. So I'll go ahead and read that comment to you all now. Gentle suggestion. Consider joining the squares you do have made for your daughter's first birthday. Add a photo of her with it at age 1. You can always enlarge it as she grows. Also, if you go around each square with additional rows, your Afghan will be bigger with your current amount of squares. You are so enthusiastic and motivated, Gina. I believe you deserve the reward of your 1-year-old baby blanket. A photo of you, her, and the blanket would preserve the memory of this special time. The Afghan can grow and evolve, and as she grows, you choose to create it. And you can start your son's Afghan, and he will love watching Mommy make it for him. Best wishes and blessings to you and yours, Therese, mom of 4 sons and grandma to 6 grandchildren. So this was so eye-opening and such a great suggestion, and I am going to go with that for my daughter's Dainty Daisy Granny Square Afghan blanket. So I'm going to start joining what I do have to creating a blanket, the start of it. And then as she grows, I can continue to add to it. So this can be sectioned out into the longer term project category, which would then allow me to be freed up with a few more projects too, which is exciting. So I really appreciate the suggestion, Therese, and I am so glad that you said that, because we're getting close to the big day of her birthday and I just want to have something to show for it. So this actually helps me achieve my goal plus create something along the way. Thank you so much. The next comment comes from Marie Watt. Hello, Gina. For socks, I knit toe up. I usually just do a vanilla sock for easy knitting, as I always have knitting projects on the go that have pattern. ChowGoo fixed needles are my go-to, and I knit magic loop and often 2 at a time. Love seeing all of your crochet projects. Are you on Instagram? Thank you, Marie, for the great comments. Thank you for suggesting the ChowGoo fixed needles. I've heard of these from just other knitting podcasts that I've listened to and watched lately. So I'm going to look at maybe doing circular needles. It seems like more people use circulars, and I did get DPNs, but I'm finding that it's a little fiddly. I want to see how far I can go with the DPNs, and if it's just getting to be too fiddly and difficult, then I'll switch to circular. But that's a good suggestion on that, and that you use magic loop. I've heard of this magic loop technique also. So this whole process is going to just be me relearning and refamiliarizing myself. And I'm so glad that you've been enjoying the podcast and that you enjoy these crochet projects that I've been working on. Am I on Instagram? No, I'm not on Instagram for this podcast. However, other people have been asking me if I am on Instagram to share these projects, and I just at this time I can't start an Instagram for this podcast. I just feel like it's a lot already, just making these videos in addition to everything else that I have to do. So I'm trying to just kind of ease myself and build this community here first on YouTube, and then maybe later on down the road when I have a little bit more time to dedicate to another thing, then I could start an Instagram as well. But I know that that's a good idea to have an Instagram to share on that platform as well. So at this moment, no, but maybe in the future. Thank you so much for your comments. Do you have a question for me? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Well, that's it, my friends. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm so glad that you could be here to see my progress and to share what you're working on. I love hearing from you. Thank you so much again for watching my video. It's been great visiting with you. Everything I've talked about will be linked down below. Please click the like button and subscribe to this channel. If you know of anyone who might be interested in this channel, please share it with them and encourage them to subscribe as well. I really appreciate you all. I will be back soon, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.